Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today we are talking about top reasons why you may not like living in Howard County, Maryland. Now, I've done another video on a bunch of reasons why you'll absolutely love living here in Howard County, Maryland. But today we are discussing the reasons why it may turn you off, reasons why you may not want to live here. So we're going to get started right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Living in Maryland channel, where we discuss all things living here in the great state of Maryland. So if that's the kind of information that you are looking for, then you are definitely in the right spot, and we really appreciate you being here. And if you are thinking about making a move here to Maryland, if you're wondering whether purchasing or selling a home here in the area is the right move for you, we absolutely love helping out in any way possible. So however you feel most comfortable reaching out, whether that's by phone, text, or email, days, nights, and weekends, we've got your back when moving here to the great state of Maryland. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about here in this video is going to be the high cost of housing here in Howard County, Maryland. So just to give you an idea and kind of a reference of what I'm talking about, we've got the median sales price across the board in the state of Maryland being right around $375,000. In Howard County, Maryland, the median sales price is $500,000. Now, the only county within central Maryland, which is higher than that, is Montgomery County, which is going to be just south of Howard County. And the reason for that is because it's borders DC. It's heavily influenced and tied to DC Metro, where Howard County is still, north enough where it's more tied to Baltimore County, although it definitely still has influence and ties to DC as well. So you've got that kind of being the biggest reason there. You've got Anne Arundel County, and the average sales price there is going to be right around $450,000. And then the median sales price in Prince George's County, or PG County, is around $400,000. And then when you go up to Baltimore County, you've got a median sales price of $300,000. And then the median sales price in Baltimore City is not super reflective of what the cost of living in Maryland is, but that's at $200,000. So you can see when comparing to all the other areas, just how expensive it is to live in Howard County. So if you are coming here to the area, if you're thinking about buying a home, just keeping that in mind is going to be very helpful when you come here to the area. And then the next reason that I wanted to discuss is going to be the high local income tax here in Howard County. Now, I will say Maryland as a whole is a pretty heavily taxed state. So if you're coming from outside of Maryland, from a different part of the country, this is definitely something to further research and look into, and this is something I've spoke to a lot in different videos as well. But when it comes to income tax here in Maryland, you pay a direct state income tax, and then you've got a local county income tax depending on the county that you live in. And then that's also paid in kind of in conjunction with the state income tax, but it's made up of those two portions. So the state income tax is at the state level and then the local level. So when you're living in Howard County, you pay the highest across the entire state. So it's 3.2%. Now, to be fair, a lot of the surrounding counties like Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Montgomery County, Prince George's County are all 3.2% as well. So not to say that Howard County is significantly higher than a lot of the surrounding counties, but just to give you a heads up on that too, it is the highest across the state with those other surrounding counties, but something to keep in mind as well. Anne Arundel County is actually going to be one of the lowest in the states, and that's at 2.8% for the local state income tax. All right, next item is going to be the lack of public transportation. So if you are someone who's maybe coming from a city, or you are used to or really want to have access to a lot of public transportation, Howard County may not be the most ideal fit for you. So you really do need a car here in the area. It's a very drivable area. You really need that to get around. So you really don't have a lot of access to the metro or to a ton of buses until you start getting into Prince George's and Montgomery County, and then into Baltimore County. So something to keep in mind depending on where you're coming from. And that's going to be something that you'll definitely notice here in Howard County. All right, next couple of things are going to be tied to the real estate market, just to give you a couple ideas on housing and that are tied into pricing. So the first thing is going to be that if you like new construction properties, or if you're looking for a lot of big new communities, Howard County does not have a ton of that. Now, there are a few, but there's just not a whole lot of that. In this county, it's overall a pretty developed county, especially the eastern and the southern parts. Now, you do have some or a decent amount of new construction in the western parts of the county, like specifically Western Ellicott City. But it's very tough out there because the prices are so high. So it's not uncommon to see a new construction single family home in that area for well over $1 million. The school districts are very, very highly rated out there, so the price tags are going to follow suit on that. So if you're looking for affordable new construction options, Howard County does not have a ton of it, in addition to just not really having a lot of the land and the space for it. So if you're really looking to target that, there's going to be limited options when it comes to new construction. So something to keep in mind when it comes to that. And then kind of to piggyback on that is Howard County is a pretty notoriously low inventory market. So when you look at it side by side with, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, Prince George's County, which are a lot of the immediately surrounding counties, Howard County consistently has lower available homes than the surrounding counties. And a big reason is because of the new construction. So we just don't have as much of it. So we're heavily and more heavily relying on just your average homeowners needing to sell their home. So we don't have a lot of that newer new construction inventory come into the market, or we just have a lot less of it than surrounding counties. So to find a home that's suitable is going to be more difficult because there's just less options when comparing to surrounding counties. So just keeping that in mind if you are a prospective homeowner or thinking that you may want to buy a home in the area. That's going to be something that contributes to just not having as many housing options here in the area. Now, to kind of continue on that road is, now you will see some new construction within central parts of Howard County, but again, it's not going to be a lot. What's actually pretty common is you may see maybe within an existing or an older neighborhood, you may see a half acre or an acre being sold off to a developer, and they build 2, 3, 4, 5 homes in an existing community. So it's not like a larger, what you're maybe typically used to, where with Ryan Homes or some of these bigger communities. So you'll see some new construction, but a lot of times maybe it's a single lot, maybe it's a half acre to an acre, and there's only 3, 4, 5 homes within an existing development. So something to keep in mind too, where you kind of see a decent amount of that, just because so much of central Howard County and a lot of Howard County is already developed. So they try to squeeze them in wherever they can, and a lot of times that ends up being in these small existing communities where they just kind of subdivided a lot, or someone finally decided to sell an older home, but it was a larger lot, and they can squeeze in a few homes on there. So you will see that from time to time as well, especially in Columbia, Laurel, Elk Ridge, things like that. So something to keep in mind as well. And then one other thing I wanted to mention, just because it is something very specific to Howard County and something that personally would not be something I like, and I know I've gotten comments about this from clients in the past too, is you see a lot of shared driveways within Howard County, and probably for the same reason that we've been talking about, is that there's just not a whole lot of space. They want to fit in those properties wherever they can. So you'll be driving, down a typical street in a neighborhood, and then you'll just kind of see a street, just kind of, a private road, and a shared driveway just kind of split off. And then you'll see 1, 2, 3 homes back there where they can kind of squeeze them in. And you'll see that maybe at the end of a cul-de-sac, you'll see that just kind of shoot off, on a typical street, and where they can squeeze in a few more homes. And people in general have kind of mentioned, that they don't really like that. They don't like the idea of sharing and maintaining a driveway or a shared short street with other neighbors, because the county's not going to be responsible for that. The county's not going to come through and salt that. They're not going to plow that when it comes to snow in the winter. So something to keep in mind too, where you're going to actually see that a decent amount here in the area. So kind of keeping an eye on that if you're looking at homes. Does it have a shared driveway, or is it just a typical kind of setup on a street or a cul-de-sac? So keeping that in mind can be helpful as well. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. If you ever have any questions about moving here to the area, please feel free to reach out anytime, and we will see you at the next video.